Hi, I'm Alison. I am an almost 43-year-old mom and career coach living in Madagascar. I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado, and I am creating this video introduction today to let you know how I can help you. I never thought that my career history would be something that would be of use to you today, but now I realize that it is. Let me back up. In the last 10 years, I've had two jobs. I was the executive director of an international nonprofit, and I've been a resume writer and career coach. Prior to that, I probably had 15 or 20 jobs in 15 years, starting from about age 15 all the way up until my early 30s. I worked in hospitality, I worked in nonprofits, I worked in retail, I worked in restaurants, I worked in volunteers, I worked in housing, I worked in land surveying, I did temp jobbing, I did a zillion things. And for each of these jobs, I wrote a resume, I interviewed, and I got hired. And one of the things that I found most surprising when I started helping people write resumes and interview is that there are some people who apply for hundreds of jobs and never get one call for an interview. Whereas I would apply for a couple of jobs, get an interview, and get hired. This realization made me start to reflect on what it was that I did differently. Why did I get hired? I couldn't attribute it just to me being nice, pretty, smart. There's lots of nice, pretty, smart people out there that don't get hired. And I know this because I work with a lot of people who write resumes or who have written a resume, who've been on a job search for months. Brilliant people, kind people, innovative people. And yet they're not getting that resume to connect with the hiring manager, or they're getting to the interview, but they can't convert that interview to a hire. And so I've spent the last 5 years building my skills not only as a resume writer and career coach, but also studying positive psychology and really looking at what it takes to convert your goal into a hire. And what I've discovered is that the person who tells the best story, the most authentic story, is the person who gets hired. How do you do that and remain authentic? How do you do that without lying? How do you do that without feeling like you're bragging? You do it by getting very clear about your values, by really understanding the people that are hiring you and understanding what their needs are, what are their goals, and then connecting what you can do with what they can do. And the two most important parts of that many people miss is that you cannot let humility get confused with mediocrity, and you cannot let your humility take away from your confidence and your joy in doing the work. And so if your version of authentic is to be humble and say, well, I'm not really sure I can do that, or I haven't done that before, versus saying, I've got some idea of what needs to be done. I'd love to give it a try. Or I don't have a ton of experience with that, but I understand the process and I'm ready to go. I will learn. I can do this. I've done X, Y, and Z in the past, so I know I can do W. Whoever tells the best story is the person who gets hired. So I've put together a 6-week or 6-session package that will walk you through your values, your interests, your needs, your strengths, your natural talents, and your experiences, connecting them to your job goals and the goals of your employer or your target job, and then bringing those all together into your resume, LinkedIn profile, and your interview process so that you can get hired. What I want to know about all of this is that normally, in good times, I work with people to find their ideal jobs, their dream jobs. But right now, you may not have the luxury of finding your dream job. You may just need any job. But the fact of the matter is, you are a person with skills and with experiences. You're a good person. You're a kind person. You're a nice person. You're a smart person. And you can craft your job. You can craft your style to do whatever job you need to do to get hired right now. And so this job search package, this job search process that I've got for you will work to get you hired into your dream job, but it will also work to get you any job. How do I know this? Because I've worked as a general manager of a poster store, I've worked as a sales girl, I've worked in a restaurant, I've worked as the executive director of an NGO, I've worked as a front office manager of a hotel, I've worked with educational nonprofits, I've worked as a community manager for a housing development, I've worked as a receptionist, I've worked in HR, I've pretty much done every job, and I've always gotten hired for all of these jobs because I was able to connect my particular skill set, my interests, my strengths, my values, and my personality with that of the hiring manager. And in all of this, I've always remained authentic and me and myself. You don't need to be anybody else. You just need to be you. You just need to embrace yourself and what you can do and tell your story so that it matches the needs of your hiring manager. If you can do that, you can get hired. So join me for these 6 sessions, small groups, and I will walk you through this process. I will help you to build your resume and your LinkedIn profile, and we will get you your next job.